There is a world of difference between scanning your management accounts and really understanding what those numbers are telling you. Too many business owners scan their numbers, and as a result, they are losing tens of thousands of pounds in profit and they don't even know it. On this episode, I want to help you understand why that happens and what you need to do about it.
Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
The reason this happens is for too many businesses, their management accounts fall into the category of interesting and not useful. And what I mean by this is, in order for numbers to be useful, they need context. They need comparison. If you're just looking at your month and your year-to-date figures in isolation, that's never going to help you really understand where the issues are in your business. A company I work with used to fall into this trap before working with me. The financial controller was diligent at getting the figures out on time, and the figures were always accurate. The management team always used to have management account meetings where they used to review those figures, but the issue with those meetings were that everybody would just walk out of the room after reviewing those figures without a clear understanding of what the issues were and what needed to happen over the month ahead to try and fix them. They would go through this Groundhog Day of looking through the figures, and nobody would be any wiser as to what the issues were that they needed to resolve. What I helped them understand is that they didn't have the right information in the right format to help them truly understand the performance of their business. Their P&L used to look like this: 1 month in isolation, sufficient detail, accurate figures. Now, that is kind of useful, but not nearly as useful as this. Same P&L, same company, the information is so much more useful when it's got context around it. As you can see, this P&L has got a budget, it has got a variance to the budget, and it's got something called a common size, which is every single number expressed as a percentage of turnover. That is for the actuals and for the budget. What this enabled the company to do is really get into the detail of what was going on in their numbers. And that helped them diagnose problems and help them put remedial action in place to save the quarter or to save the next month. So, for example, let's take a look at these numbers. The P&L on the left would never help you understand the granular detail of what was going on. By looking at the management accounts with the budget, the variance, and the common size, you can now start to see some big differences. For example, on the revenue streams, you can see that revenue stream A is £189,000 down, revenue stream C is £387,000 up on budget, and overall the business's revenue was £180,000 up, and you can see where the difference was.
Nice.
In terms of the cost of sales, look at that gross margin, 43% versus 45%. Without the detail on the common size, it would be much more difficult to understand that materials is 2% of turnover higher than the budgeted amount, that the contract and associate staff is 3% higher than the budgeted amount. All of this information is incredibly important. By looking at this information in this way, you can quite quickly see how the quality of the conversations in the room improved significantly, how those meetings shifted from a Groundhog Day conversation into meaningful discussions about what needed to change over the month ahead. Back to the numbers, let's look at those overheads. 2.5 million, which is 28% of turnover, versus the budgeted 2.491 million, which is 28.2% of turnover. The key thing here is that the overheads are okay. If you look at that operating profit, however, 15% operating margin versus a 16.8% operating margin. That variance is £128,000.
Damn!
And the important thing is that this business would not have understood clearly what was causing the £128,000 worth of deficit unless they had the common size and the variance and the budgeted figures as we have set it out over here. Looking at those figures in isolation, they may have looked at it and thought, well, it's a 15% operating margin, that's okay, and they would have walked off. By looking at these figures, it's very obvious where the gaps are, where the issues are, and what needs to happen next. For me, there are 3 non-negotiables for your management accounts. Number 1 is you absolutely need to have the budgeted figures. There is no point in having the actuals unless you are comparing them to something. You need to compare them to the budget, that is the financial plan, that is the targets that you have set yourself. Number 2 is you need your variance column. Your variance column helps you clearly and quickly see what is up and what is down. And finally, you need your common size. As I said, that is every single number expressed as a percentage of turnover, and you need your common size for your actual figures, and you need your common size for your budgeted figures. Sometimes having that common size in place helps you understand that even if the numbers look the same as the budgeted figures, the proportions may be out. So for me, the common size is your backup. It is really useful because it helps you understand the percentage, the ratio of those numbers, which can sometimes expose issues that would have otherwise gone unnoticed. The trap that I see too many businesses falling into, if they do any form of comparison, they compare their figures to last year.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The thing that you should be bothered about is the budget. Those are the targets you set yourself. That is what you're trying to achieve. Looking at your numbers in isolation and looking at your numbers in comparison to last year is not nearly as helpful as looking at your numbers the way that I've just shown you, but comparing it to the budget. That is what makes the biggest difference. For a business that turns over 9 million, 1% shift in the common size is worth £90,000.
Holy guacamole.
And if any of that is below the revenue line, that £90,000 falls off the bottom line. That is serious money. Without having all of these things in place the way that I've just shown you, it is so much more difficult to really understand what's going on in your business. For me, this is a non-negotiable. If you are growing your business, if you're trying to manage the profitability of your business, you need these numbers in this format. Stop messing about with actuals and start getting serious about understanding the performance of your business. If you found this episode useful, then don't forget to like and subscribe. I release one of these episodes every 2 weeks, designed to help you grow your business and make it less dependent on you. See you next time on Mind Your Own Business.